The ship came out of faster-than-light travel with a small shake. Captain Threll stood at the main window and looked at the planet below. It was a world of blue and green, with thick clouds moving across its surface. The readings on his screen made his forearms tremble with fear. Varix 7, he said quietly. Category 5, Deathworld. His second-in-command, Vorix, walked up beside him. The tall alien had scales that changed color with his mood, and right now they were a deep shade of purple. Purple meant worry. The atmospheric readings are terrible, Vorix said. High oxygen levels. Extreme temperature changes. The UV radiation from the star could burn through standard skin in minutes. And the water. He paused and shook his head. The water has salt in it. Actual salt. Threll nodded slowly. He had been a survey captain for 30 years. He had seen many dangerous worlds. But Deathworlds were different. They were planets so hostile that no normal life should exist on them. Yet somehow, life always found a way on these terrible places. Get the crew ready, Threll ordered. Full hazmat protocol. I want everyone in maximum protection suits before we even think about landing. The ship had 12 crew members. 10 of them were from various alien species across the Galactic Union. They gathered in the equipment room with serious faces. The hazmat suits hung on the walls like sleeping monsters. Each suit was a work of engineering art. They had triple-layer protection against radiation, temperature control systems, air filters, and emergency medical units built into the chest plates. Listen carefully, Threll announced. This is not a normal survey mission. Varix 7 is one of the most dangerous planets we have ever recorded. The gravity is high. The air will burn your lungs. The local wildlife is reported to be extremely violent. Nobody takes any risks. Nobody removes their suit for any reason. Is that understood? The alien crew members nodded with fear in their eyes. They began putting on their hazmat suits. The process took almost an hour. Each seal had to be checked 3 times. Each air filter had to be tested. Each radiation shield had to be confirmed working. In the corner of the room, the 2 human crew members watched with confused looks on their faces. Yuna was a geologist. She had joined the Galactic Survey Corps 3 years ago and had become one of their best rock specialists. She was a small woman with long black hair that she kept in a simple ponytail. Right now, she was holding a large bag covered with flower patterns. Hey, Do-hyun, she said to the man beside her. What are they doing? Do-hyun was a biologist. He was tall and thin, with a friendly smile that never seemed to leave his face. He scratched his head and watched the aliens struggle with their heavy suits. I think they're getting ready to go outside, he said. In those things? Yuna laughed. It's going to be like 40 degrees down there. They'll cook themselves. Threll heard this and turned around. His face showed pure horror. 40 degrees? He repeated. That is exactly why we need maximum protection. 40 degrees is enough to boil the blood of most species. Yuna and Do-hyun looked at each other. Then they looked back at Threll. Captain, Do-hyun said carefully. Where we come from, 40 degrees is called summer. Threll's mouth opened, but no words came out. He had read the files on humans. He knew they came from Earth. Another death world. But knowing something and seeing it were very different things. Surely you will at least wear basic protection suits, Vorix said. The UV radiation alone requires. Oh, I brought sunscreen, Yuna said happily. She reached into her flower bag and pulled out a small bottle. Factor 50. Should be fine. Sunscreen, Vorix repeated. His scales turned white. White meant complete shock. You plan to protect yourself from deadly radiation with cream? It works pretty well, Yuna shrugged. I also brought a hat. Do-hyun opened his own bag. Inside were shorts, sandals, a towel, and what appeared to be swimming clothes. The coastal readings showed some nice beaches, he explained. Thought I might take a swim if we have time. Threll felt his legs grow weak. He had to hold onto the wall to stay standing. Swim? He whispered. In water that contains salt and acids? In water that is full of unknown creatures? On a death world? Well, yeah, Do-hyun said. That's kind of what beaches are for. The alien crew members had stopped putting on their suits. They were all staring at the two humans with expressions of pure disbelief. Some of them looked like they might faint. "Perhaps," Threll said slowly, "we should discuss this more before landing." He called a meeting in the ship's conference room. The aliens sat on one side, their hazmat suits half finished. The humans sat on the other side, still in their casual clothes. "I need to understand something," Threll began. "Your species comes from a death world. Your homeworld, Earth, is classified as Category 6, the most dangerous type of planet in our records. How are you alive?" Yuna thought about this for a moment. "I mean, Earth is pretty nice," she said. "We have beaches and mountains and forests. The weather can be a bit much sometimes, but you get used to it." "Get used to it," Vorix's voice cracked. "Your planet has massive storms that destroy entire cities. It has giant waves that swallow ships. It has mountains that explode with liquid rock. It has animals with teeth the size of my arm. How does anyone get used to that?" "Oh, the volcanoes are actually really pretty," Do-hyun said. "There's this one in my country that tourists love to visit. Great photos." Threll put his head in his hands. This was going to be a very long mission. "Fine," he finally said. "You may. Wear whatever you wish. But please, for the love of all that is sacred, stay close to the group, and if anything dangerous happens, you will get back to the ship immediately." Yuna smiled brightly. "Sure thing, Captain. Oh, and I packed some snacks if anyone gets hungry. I made sandwiches." "What is in these sandwiches?" Vorix asked carefully. "Ham and cheese. Nothing special." Vorix relaxed slightly. At least sandwiches sounded safe. "The ham is from a pig," Yuna continued. "They're these animals we raise for food. Kind of smart, actually. And cheese is made from the body fluid of another animal, called a cow." Every alien in the room made sounds of disgust. Some of them actually ran out to be sick. Do-hyun patted Yuna on the shoulder. "Maybe don't mention the food stuff," he suggested. "Yeah," Yuna agreed. "Probably a good idea." The ship began its landing procedure. Below them, the beautiful and deadly world of Varric 7 waited with its toxic air, burning sun, and acidic waters. The aliens prepared to face death. The humans prepared to have a nice day out. The landing was smooth. The ship touched down on a flat area of rock about half a mile from the coastline. Through the windows, the crew could see the beach stretching out in front of them. The water was a beautiful shade of blue, with small waves rolling onto golden sand. To the aliens, it looked like a death trap. To the humans, it looked like vacation. "All right, everyone," Threll announced through the ship's speakers. "Final suit checks. Remember, the atmosphere contains high levels of oxygen mixed with nitrogen. There are also traces of water vapor in the air. Your suits will filter all of this and give you safe air to breathe." The aliens lined up at the door. Their hazmat suits made them look like walking machines. Each suit weighed about 50 pounds and made simple movements difficult. The aliens walked with slow, careful steps. Behind them, Yuna appeared in shorts, a light shirt, and sandals. She had put her hair up and was wearing a wide hat to keep the sun off her face. In one hand she carried her flour bag. In the other, she held a small shovel. "Ready to find some rocks," she said cheerfully. Do-hyun came out next. He was wearing swim trunks and a loose shirt that he had not bothered to button. He carried a large cooler in one hand and a folding chair under his arm. "Beautiful day," he said, looking up at the sky. "Perfect beach weather." Vorix turned to look at them. His suit had a special helmet that allowed his color-changing scales to be seen. Right now, they were cycling between purple and white repeatedly. He had never been so worried and shocked at the same time. "The temperature outside is 42 degrees, he said. "The humidity is at 80%. The UV index is extreme. And you are wearing beach clothes." "Yeah, it's a bit hot," Yuna admitted. "But the water should be nice and cool." Threll walked over to stand in front of the humans. Even through his thick helmet, they could see the concern on his face. "I must ask one more time," he said seriously. Are you absolutely sure you do not want any protection? We have spare suits. They might not fit perfectly, but they would keep you alive. Do-hyun smiled kindly. Captain, where we come from, people pay good money to experience weather like this. There are entire industries built around going to hot places with beaches. We call it tourism. Tourism, Threll repeated, as if the word was from another language. You travel to dangerous places. For fun? Pretty much, yeah. The captain gave up. He turned and pressed the button to open the main door. The outside air rushed in. To the aliens, their suits immediately began working hard to filter out the dangerous gases. Warning lights flashed on their displays. Temperature alerts beeped. Radiation counters started climbing. Yuna took a deep breath and smiled. Smells like the ocean, she said happily. Just like home. She walked out onto the rocky ground, her sandals making soft sounds against the stone. She looked around at the landscape with obvious joy. There were plants growing nearby, strange things with thick leaves and bright flowers. In the distance, birds flew across the sky. Careful, Threll called out. Those flying creatures could be predators. Yuna watched the birds for a moment. They look like seagulls, she said. Probably just looking for fish. Do-hyun set up his folding chair on the sand. He opened his cooler and pulled out a bottle of water. The water was so cold that drops of condensation formed on the outside of the bottle. He took a long drink and let out a satisfied sigh. Perfect, he said. The alien crew members began their survey work. They moved slowly in their heavy suits, taking readings and collecting samples. Every step was careful. Every movement was planned. They jumped at every sound and looked around nervously at every shadow. Meanwhile, Yuna had reached the waterline. She took off her sandals and let the waves wash over her feet. The water is so nice, she called back. A bit warm, but really clear. Vorix's scanner was giving him readings on the water. His scales went pale. That water has a salt content of 35 parts per thousand, he said. It contains trace amounts of sulfuric acid. The temperature is 28 degrees. If I touched it, my skin would begin to burn within seconds. Yuna was now up to her knees in the water, looking down at something below the surface. Oh, there are fish, she said excitedly. Little colorful ones. Do-hyun, bring your phone. You have to see this. Do-hyun got up from his chair and walked over to join her. He rolled up his shorts and waded into the water beside her. Together, they bent down to watch the small creatures swimming around their legs. Those things could be venomous, one of the alien crew members said through his helmet speaker. Those bright colors are often a warning in nature. Nah, they're fine, Do-hyun said. He reached down and let one of the fish swim through his fingers. Just curious little guys. Threll was trying very hard to focus on his work. He was supposed to be mapping the geological features of this coastline. But he kept getting distracted by the humans splashing in the deadly water like children at play. This is wrong, he muttered to himself. This is completely wrong. No species should be able to do this. Captain, Vorix said, appearing at his side. I have finished analyzing the humans' biological readings from their medical files. And? They are impossible. Vorix's voice was flat. Their species evolved on a world with extreme conditions. They developed resistance to radiation, temperature changes, and toxic substances. Their bodies can heal from injuries that would kill us. Their immune systems can fight off diseases that would wipe out our entire population. Threll looked at the humans in the water. Yuna was now swimming, her body moving through the deadly liquid as if it was nothing. Do-hyun had found a flat rock and was trying to skip it across the surface. They are not wearing any protection, Threll said quietly. They are in direct contact with everything this planet can throw at them. And they are. Playing. Yes, Captain. They brought snacks. Yes, Captain. And beach chairs. Yes, Captain. Threll sat down heavily on a nearby rock. His suit adjusted to the movement, but he barely noticed. I have been a survey captain for 30 years, he said. I have seen many things, terrifying things, but I have never seen anything like this. These humans treat a Category 5 death world like it is a park. Yuna came running out of the water, her wet hair flying behind her. She was grinning widely. "I found some amazing shells," she announced. "Look at these colors. They're beautiful." She held out her hands to show the aliens. In her palms were several shells with swirling patterns of blue and gold. They were indeed very pretty. They were also covered in the salt water that would burn alien skin off the bone. "Lovely," Vorax managed to say. "Please keep them away from us." Yuna looked confused for a moment, then remembered. "Oh. Right. The water thing. Sorry." She put the shells in her bag and went back to the water to wash her hands. She washed her hands in the deadly water. To clean them, Threll felt like he might need to lie down. This was too much for one survey mission. He made a decision right then. When they got back to the Galactic Union, he was going to recommend that humans be given their own special classification. They were not just Deathworlders, they were something else entirely, something that made Deathworlds look tame. The sun moved across the sky as the hours passed. The alien crew continued their survey work, collecting samples and taking measurements. Their suits were working hard to keep them alive, and several crew members were already complaining about discomfort. The humans had set up what they called a beach camp. Do-hyun had found a perfect spot on the sand. He had set up 2 folding chairs, a small table, and a large umbrella he had brought from the ship. Yuna had spread out a colorful blanket and was lying on it, her eyes closed, a peaceful smile on her face. "What are they doing?" asked Mirella, one of the alien scientists. She had 4 eyes, and all of them were fixed on the humans with complete confusion. "I believe they are relaxing," Vorax answered. "In this environment? Apparently so." Yuna opened one eye and looked over at them. "You guys should take a break," she called out. "You've been working for hours. Come sit in the shade. We cannot remove our suits," Mirella said through her helmet. "We would die." "Oh." Yuna looked sad for a moment. "That must be really uncomfortable." "Those suits look heavy." "They weigh 47 of your human pounds," Threll confirmed. "But they are keeping us alive." Yuna sat up and looked at the aliens with genuine sympathy. "I'm sorry. I didn't really think about how hard this must be for you. Is there anything we can do to help?" The question made Threll pause. In all his years of working with different species, he had never had a Deathworlder offer help. Usually, they were too busy surviving to think about others. "You could stay safe," he finally said. "Seeing you in danger makes our work more difficult." Yuna laughed. "We're not in danger, Captain. This is nice weather." She stood up and stretched her arms above her head. Then she looked out at the ocean with a thoughtful expression. "I think I'll go for another swim," she said. "Maybe explore those rocks over there." The rocks she pointed at were about 200 feet from shore. They stuck up from the water in a rough line, covered with some kind of plant or sea creature. The aliens had scanned them earlier and found that they were surrounded by strong currents and sharp edges. "Those rocks are extremely dangerous," Vorax warned. "The current could pull you under. The surfaces are covered with organisms that have developed chemical defenses." "I'll be careful," Yuna said. She walked to the water's edge and stepped in. The aliens watched in horror as she waded deeper and deeper. When the water reached her waist, she pushed off and began to swim. Her arms moved in smooth, practiced motions. She had clearly done this many times before. "Her heart rate is not even elevated," Mirella reported, looking at her scanner. "Her stress levels are completely normal. She is swimming through deadly water toward dangerous rocks, and her body is treating it like a normal activity." "Humans swim for fun," Do-hyun explained. He had gotten up and was standing at the water's edge, watching Yuna's progress. "It's good exercise. Also, it feels nice." "Feels nice," Threll repeated. "The deadly water feels nice." "Yeah. It's refreshing." Yuna reached the rocks and pulled herself up onto one of them. She sat there, waves crashing around her, and waved at the people on the beach. "Great view from here," she shouted. Do-hyun waved back. Then he turned to the aliens with a grin. "Looks fun," he said. "I think I'll join her." Before anyone could say anything, he ran into the water and dove under the surface. He emerged a few seconds later, shaking water from his hair, and began swimming toward the rocks. "This is a nightmare," Threll said. "This is an actual nightmare. I must be dreaming." "Your suit reports you are fully awake, Captain," Vorik said helpfully. "I did not ask." The two humans sat on the rocks together, talking and laughing. Occasionally, one of them would point at something in the water below. Once, Do-hyun actually jumped back in and dove down beneath the surface. He was under for almost a minute before coming back up. "There are caves down there," he called to Yuna. "Really cool formations." "Caves," Mirella whispered. He found underwater caves on a Deathworld, and his first thought was that they were cool. One of the other alien crew members, a small creature named Pelix, walked over to Do-hyun's abandoned cooler. It had been sitting in the sun for hours. "What is in this container?" Pelix asked. "Oh, that's our lunch," Do-hyun called back from the rocks. "There are sandwiches and some fruit. Help yourself if you're hungry." Pelix carefully opened the cooler. Inside were several wrapped packages, some round red fruits, and bottles of water. Steam rose slightly from inside, as the cooler had lost most of its cold. "The internal temperature is 31 degrees, Pelix reported. "The food inside has been sitting at this temperature for several hours." "Yeah, it's probably gotten warm," Do-hyun admitted. "Should still be fine, though." "Fine?" Threll's voice went high with disbelief. "Food stored at that temperature for that long? Any species in the Galactic Union would be seriously ill from eating that." "We call it a picnic," Do-hyun shrugged. "People do it all the time." Yuna swam back to shore and walked up the beach. Water dripped from her clothes and hair. The salt water that would burn alien skin simply made her look slightly shiny. "I'm hungry," she announced. She reached into the cooler and pulled out a sandwich. She unwrapped it and took a big bite. Still good," she said with her mouth full. "Want some, Do-hyun?" "Yeah, throw me one." She threw a sandwich through the air. Do-hyun caught it easily and began eating while still sitting on the rocks, his feet dangling in the toxic water. The aliens stood in complete silence. They watched the humans eat their warm, old food while surrounded by deadly environmental conditions. It was like watching something from another reality. "Captain," Vorik said quietly, "I have been thinking." "About what?" "About why humans were able to join the Galactic Union so easily. When they first made contact, everyone was scared of them. They came from a death world. They had a history of violence. Many species wanted to reject them. I remember, but they were accepted. And now I understand why." Vorix's scales had settled into a calm blue. The color of acceptance. "They are not a threat to us. They do not want to hurt anyone. They just exist differently. They see danger where we see death. They see fun where we see fear." Threll considered this. He looked at Yuna, who was now building something in the sand with her hands. She was humming a song to herself. She looked completely happy. "They are children of chaos," Threll said softly. "They were born in hell, and they loved it. They do not want to make others suffer. They just want to enjoy their strange, terrifying existence. And share their sandwiches," Vorix added. "And share their sandwiches," Threll agreed. Yuna looked up from her sand creation and smiled at them. "Hey, do you guys have cameras in those suits?" she asked. "This sunset is going to be amazing. You should get some pictures." The aliens looked at the sky. The sun was beginning to go down, painting the clouds in shades of orange and pink. It was beautiful. It was also producing radiation levels that would kill most life forms in minutes. But the humans saw only beauty. Perhaps, Threll thought, that was its own kind of strength. The next morning started like any other survey day. The aliens suited up in their heavy hazmat gear while the humans put on fresh beach clothes. Yuna had braided her hair and was wearing a bright yellow sundress over her swimsuit. Do-hyun had found a hat somewhere and was wearing it backwards. "Today we need to explore the jungle area," Threll announced. "There are some interesting energy readings coming from about 3 miles inland. We will need to be very careful." The jungle was even more dangerous than the beach. The plants were thick and wild. Many of them had thorns or produced toxic pollen. Strange insects buzzed through the air. Animal sounds came from every direction. The aliens walked in a tight group, their suits protecting them from the countless dangers. Their scanners beeped constantly, warning them about one threat after another. The humans walked beside them, completely relaxed. "Oh, look at that flower." Yuna pointed at a large purple plant. "It's so pretty. That flower produces a gas that causes immediate paralysis in most species," Vorik said flatly. "Oh." Yuna leaned away from it slightly. "Still pretty, though." Do-hyun was examining the trees. They were tall and twisted, with bark that seemed to move slightly. Upon closer inspection, the bark was covered with thousands of tiny insects. "Interesting," he murmured. "Some kind of symbiotic relationship. Those insects eat flesh," Mirella warned. "If they get through your suit, they will consume you alive." "Good thing I'm not wearing a suit then," Do-hyun said cheerfully. "They don't seem interested in me at all." It was true. The insects completely ignored the human. Several of them had actually landed on his arm, walked around for a moment, and then flown away. They apparently found human flesh unappetizing. "Why?" Threll asked, more to himself than anyone else. "Why do the deadly things avoid them?" "Maybe we taste bad," Yuna suggested. They continued through the jungle. The path was difficult, and the aliens struggled with their heavy suits. Several times they had to stop to rest. The humans waited patiently, sometimes helping to carry equipment. Then disaster struck. Threll was climbing over a fallen log when his suit caught on a sharp branch. There was a terrible ripping sound, and suddenly alarms were going off inside his helmet. "Suit breach!" Vorik screamed. "The captain has a suit breach!" The tear was on Threll's arm. It was not large, but it was enough. The toxic atmosphere was getting inside. The flesh around the tear was already beginning to turn red and painful. "We need to get back to the ship," Mirella shouted. But they were 3 miles from the ship, in the jungle, with a wounded captain who was slowly being poisoned by the very air around him. Threll fell to his knees. The pain was spreading up his arm. His vision was starting to blur. In a few more minutes, the poison would reach his vital organs. "Leave me," he gasped. "Get the others to safety." "No one is leaving anyone," a voice said firmly. It was Do-hyun. He knelt beside Threll and examined the tear in the suit. His face was serious and focused. "Yuna, give me your scarf." Yuna pulled the colorful scarf from her neck and handed it over. Do-hyun wrapped it tightly around the tear, creating a temporary seal. "That will slow it down, but we need to get him to proper medical care fast." Do-hyun looked at the other aliens. "How heavy is he in that suit?" "About 120 pounds, Vorik answered. Do-hyun nodded and turned to Yuna. "Can you take some of the equipment?" Already on it, Yuna was gathering scanners and sample cases, loading them onto her back. "Wait," Threll said weakly. "You cannot carry me." The atmosphere. Do-hyun did not wait for him to finish. He lifted Threll in his arms like the captain weighed nothing. The human's face showed some effort, but no real difficulty. "Which way to the ship?" Do-hyun asked. Vorik pointed, his scales completely white with shock. "That way. But the path is dangerous. There are acid pools and predator territories, and..." Do-hyun started walking. Not running, but a fast, steady walk that ate up distance quickly. His bare feet moved confidently over the rough ground. His eyes scanned ahead for obstacles. "Yuna, watch our back," he called over his shoulder. "On it," Yuna replied. She was keeping pace easily, despite carrying almost 30 pounds of equipment. The aliens followed as best they could in their heavy suits. They were amazed by what they saw. Do-hyun walked through clouds of toxic pollen without slowing down. He stepped over streams of water that would have burned through alien boots. When a large insect flew at him, he simply waved it away with one hand, while holding Threll steady with the other. Yuna was doing similar things behind them. She used her scarf to push aside thorny branches. She kicked a small animal out of their path when it got too close. She breathed the poisonous air like it was nothing. "They are carrying him," Mirella said with wonder. "They are carrying him through a Deathworld jungle, without any protection." Faster than we could move in our suits, Pelix added. They reached the acid pools. These were small bodies of liquid that could dissolve metal in seconds. There was no clear path around them. Do-hyun stopped and looked at the situation. Then he stepped onto a narrow ledge of rock that ran between two pools. The ledge was barely wide enough for his feet. One wrong step would mean falling into acid. He walked across without hesitation, his balance perfect, his grip on Threll never loosening. Yuna came next, hopping from stone to stone with the confidence of someone playing a children's game. The aliens had to find a longer way around. By the time they reached the other side, Do-hyun was already far ahead. They caught up to him at the edge of the jungle. The ship was visible now, just a few hundred yards away. Do-hyun was breathing hard, sweat dripping down his face. But he was still moving. "Almost there, Captain," he said. "Stay with me." Threll's eyes were barely open. The poison had spread through most of his body, but he was still alive. The scarf seal and Do-hyun's speed had bought him time. They reached the ship. Vorax rushed ahead to open the door and prepare the medical bay. Do-hyun carried Threll inside and laid him gently on the treatment table. "He needs the antitoxin," Do-hyun said, "and his arm needs to be cleaned and sealed." "How do you know our medical procedures?" Vorax asked while working. "I read the manual on the way here." Do-hyun stepped back to give them room. Seemed like it might be useful. Yuna appeared at the door, still carrying all the equipment. She was breathing hard but smiling. "Made it," she said. "How is he?" "He will live," Vorax announced, relief flooding his voice. "Thanks to you. Both of you." Threll opened his eyes. They were unfocused, but he could see the human standing near him. The human who had carried him 3 miles through a hostile jungle. The human who had risked nothing, because to humans, this world was not actually dangerous. "Thank you," Threll whispered. Do-hyun smiled his friendly smile. "No problem, Captain. What else are crewmates for?" Outside, the Deathworld continued its existence. Deadly and beautiful, terrifying and wonderful, and absolutely nothing special to the humans who walked upon it. The ship left Varix 7 3 days later. Threll had recovered fully, though his arm would carry a scar from the poison damage. It was a small price to pay for his life. During those 3 days, something had changed in the crew. The fear they had felt toward the humans had transformed into something else. Respect, wonder, and something close to affection. Yuna and Do-hyun had continued their beach activities while the captain recovered, but they had also helped with the survey work in small ways. Yuna had collected rock samples from places too dangerous for the aliens to reach. Do-hyun had recorded observations about the local wildlife, getting closer than any suited alien could have managed. Now, as the ship flew through space toward the Galactic Union headquarters, Threll sat in his office writing his mission report. It was the most difficult report he had ever written. "How do I explain this?" he muttered to himself. "How do I tell them what we saw?" His door chimed. Vorax entered, carrying a data tablet. "The humans asked me to give you this, Captain," he said. "It is their own report of the mission." Threll took the tablet and began reading. The report was written in simple, clear language. It described the planet, the weather, the beaches, the jungle. It listed the samples collected and the observations made. But it also included something else. There were photographs, dozens of them, pictures of the sunset over the ocean, pictures of colorful fish in the clear water, pictures of strange flowers in the jungle, pictures of the alien crew members working hard in their suits. And there was a final paragraph that made Threll stop breathing for a moment. "We had a great time on Varix 7, the report concluded. The beach was beautiful, and the jungle was fascinating. We hoped the crew was not too uncomfortable in their suits. We tried to help where we could. Special thanks to Captain Threll for leading such an excellent mission. We hope his arm heals well. He is a very brave captain. Looking forward to the next survey." Brave. They had called him brave. Threll had been terrified the entire mission. He had almost died. And the humans thought he was brave for simply doing his job while wearing proper protection. Vorax, Threll said slowly. What do humans consider brave? Vorax thought about this. I believe they consider facing fear to be brave. Not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. But they were not afraid at all on that planet. No, Captain. Because to them, it was not dangerous. Vorax paused. But they recognized that it was dangerous to us. And they respected our courage in facing those dangers. Threll looked at the photographs again. One showed Yuna smiling at the camera, water dripping from her hair, the deadly ocean behind her. Another showed Do-hyun giving a thumbs up while standing knee-deep in acidic water. They looked happy. Genuinely, purely happy. Prepare a message for Galactic Union Command, Threll said. I want to make some recommendations about human classifications. The message was sent ahead of the ship. By the time they arrived at headquarters, it had already caused significant discussion among the council members. Threll was called to present his findings in person. The council chamber was large and impressive. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the seats. They all watched as Threll walked to the central platform. Captain Threll, the High Speaker said, your message was unusual. Please explain your recommendations. Threll took a deep breath. His arm ached slightly under his uniform, a reminder of what had happened. Distinguished members of the council, he began. I have just returned from a survey mission to Varix 7, a Category 5 death world. During this mission, I worked alongside 2 human crew members. He pressed a button, and images appeared on the screens around the chamber. Images of Yuna swimming in toxic water. Images of Do-hyun walking through poisonous jungle barefoot. Images of the humans eating old food under a deadly sun. Humans require special classification, Threll continued. Not because they are dangerous to us, but because they are so completely different from anything we have seen before. He told them everything. The beach clothes, the sunscreen, the sandwiches, the swimming, the way the humans had rescued him when his suit failed, how they had carried him through 3 miles of hostile environment without any protection. The council listened in stunned silence. My recommendation, Threll concluded, is that we stop thinking of humans as Deathworlders. That classification does not fit them. Deathworlders survive their home planets. Humans do not just survive Earth. They love it. They thrive on it. They consider its deadly conditions to be comfortable. He paused, looking around at the assembled species. Earth should be reclassified, he said firmly. Not as a Category 6 death world, but as a Category 7. A new category. One that we create specifically because nothing else describes a planet that produces beings like humans. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some members were scared. Some were fascinated. Some could not believe what they had heard. The High Speaker called for order. Captain Threll, she said. What would you name this new category? Threll smiled. It was something Yuna had said during one of their sunset conversations. A simple phrase that somehow captured everything about the human spirit. She called it a vacation spot, he said. A place to relax and have fun. I suggest we call Category 7 planets exactly that. Vacation worlds. Places where humans go to enjoy themselves. But they are deadly, a council member protested. To us. Yes, Threll agreed. To humans, they are beaches and jungles and adventures. They pack swimming clothes and snacks. They build sandcastles and watch sunsets. They do not see death, they see beauty. The council voted that day to create the new classification. Earth became the first Category 7 vacation world, a planet so deadly that no species could survive there, except humans, who wore trunks. Back on the survey ship, Yuna and Do-hyun received the news with confused expressions. They created a whole new category because of us? Yuna asked. Apparently, Vorax confirmed. He was smiling, something he rarely did. You have changed how the entire galaxy sees Deathworlds. Do-hyun scratched his head. We just went to the beach. Yes, Vorax agreed. And that is exactly the point. Threll came to find them later, as the ship prepared for its next mission. He found them in the common room, looking through their photographs from Varric 7. "I wanted to thank you again," he said, "for saving my life. And for showing us something new." Yuna smiled warmly. "We didn't do anything special, Captain. We just did what any human would do." "That," Threll said, "is precisely what makes it special." He looked at the photograph they were viewing. It showed all 12 crew members together on the beach. The aliens in their massive hazmat suits. The humans in their beach clothes. Everyone was waving at the camera. Two species from opposite ends of the survival spectrum. Working together, learning from each other, becoming friends. "Where is the next mission?" Do-hyun asked. Threll smiled. "Another death world, Category 4 this time. Ice and cold and freezing winds." Yuna's eyes lit up. "Oh, like skiing. I'll pack my winter jacket." Do-hyun was already reaching for his bag. "I think I have snow boots somewhere." Threll shook his head and laughed. These humans. These wonderful, terrifying, impossible humans. The galaxy would never be the same. And honestly, that was probably a good thing.